Whenever you're ready, sir, you can go ahead and begin.
If you can answer yes to the following 3 questions, you may have a brother with diabetes. Sorry, ladies, these questions don't really attain to you. Have you ever been a best man? Have you ever given a best man speech? Have you ever needed to hold a bag of Skittles in your coat pocket just in case your brother needed them throughout the wedding ceremony? Well, many of you probably didn't answer yes to these questions, but I was able to, and yes, I do have a brother with diabetes. Diabetes is an autoimmune disease that affects 1 out of every 200 people. It does not only affect the diabetic, but it also affects family and friends. Knowing what diabetes is, the symptoms, treatment, and frustrations a diabetic has may not only save someone's life, but also keep you out of harm's way. Diabetes is a very harmful disease, and there are 2 different types to it. There are also more, but I'll only tell you about 2. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, a credible and reliable resource because it's a national institute that researches on diseases, it says that diabetes is an autoimmune disease that occurs when you have high blood sugar due to your pancreas not making enough insulin. For those who do not know, an autoimmune disease is when your white blood cells attack your healthy blood cells, according to Medline Plus, another national institute. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes are 2 different types of diabetes. Type 1 is when your immune system attacks your pancreas and it cannot make insulin. This more oftenly occurs in young adults and children. Type 2 diabetes is very different than type 1 because it occurs more often than type 1. It occurs in older adults, and your pancreas may still make insulin. So, with adults of 65 and older, 1 out of every 4 of them has diabetes, and 90 to 95% of them has type 2. Knowing what diabetes is can only do so much, so that is why it is important to know the symptoms that cause it. Isaiah Ropey, an MD candidate for the Baylor College of Medicine, says, knowing the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, as well as the associated symptoms, can save lives and make people with diabetes feel like they are properly and fully understood. Symptoms don't always show up, so make sure you continuously check to see if you have them. According to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Facility, a credible resource because it is another research facility that researches daily on type 1 diabetes, these symptoms may occur. Frequent urination may occur because of your kidneys trying to get rid of blood sugar, and this can also lead to dehydration. Diabetics don't always get the needed energy out of their food, so this can leave them hungry and with extreme weight loss. High blood sugar can damage your nerves, and it can affect blood flow, which can lead to unhealed cuts and bruises. Always make sure that if you are showing symptoms, to go to a doctor immediately. Isaiah says that highs can get up to 500 to 600, where a normal person's blood sugar should be 80 to 120. This can lead to medical emergencies such as diabetic ketoacidosis. Isaiah also says it can quickly and irreversibly damage the brain and heart and can possibly lead to death. Knowing the symptoms can help us also see treatments that can help one cope with diabetes. There is no cure for type 1 or type 2 diabetes, but there are treatments. According to the NIDDK, or National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, type 1 needs insulin but does not need a diet. So, a type 1 diabetic must prick their finger throughout the day just so they know how much insulin they need to give themselves. This can be done in 4 easy ways: with a needle and syringe, a pen with a needle as its point, an insulin pump, and an inhaler. Type 2 diabetes can be treated with exercise, eating right, and oral medications. Type 2 diabetics can also take pills and inject insulin just like type 1 diabetics if they need it. Knowing symptoms and treatments take a major toll on diabetics, but so do frustrations that arise from the disease. Frustrations not only arise from the symptoms, and treatments, but it can also arise from people who assume things about the diabetic. My brother says, or Isaiah, for me, the most frustrating aspect of having type 1 diabetes is being consistently compared to type 2 diabetics. People can try to relate their type 2 diabetic parents and grandparents to a type 1 diabetic, but in reality, they are really two separate and completely different diseases. People think that exercise and eating right can help treat type 1 diabetes. This isn't bad for type 1, it's not bad for anyone, but it does not treat the disease. Isaiah, when he first got diabetes, he had type 1. He was a little heavier, so people thought that he got it from being obese. But really, obesity only affects type 2 diabetics. So the biggest frustration for a diabetic is when people assume things about other people. Not very many people realize that an awful and terrible disease can really affect someone in a really positive way, and their family. My brother may not be studying to become a doctor right now. I may not be giving this speech to you. My parents and Isaiah's friends may not know so much about a disease that essentially could save someone with that knowledge. So knowing diseases, symptoms, treatments, and frustrations can not only save someone, but it can also give you a new friend. So, if you're ever best man in a wedding and you need a bag of Skittles, I have one just for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.